Good evening, everyone. We're just going to give just another minute or so as people are still entering the waiting room, and then we will officially get started. Thanks a lot for coming back. We're happy to have you join us again and looking forward to another good evening. We'll go ahead and get started officially. Good evening again. My name is Betsy McFarland. We are really pleased to have you join us for our second night of the 7 Habits of Highly Successful Teens. I'm the Executive Director of the WELL, the Wade Edwards Learning Lab. The WELL is a 501c3 nonprofit located in Wake County. Our mission is to empower the high school student community by providing opportunities for achievement, enrichment, and service, enabling lifelong academic, professional, and personal success. In short, we want our young people, you, those of us who are online with us tonight, to feel supported during your time in high school and to walk alongside you and your family as you prepare for graduation. I want to say a quick thank you to all our presenters who have graciously offered their time, to our trustees for their unwavering support, and to our creative partners at the Loop for their support and encouragement. Tonight, my colleague Ray Jean will again make introductions and guide the conversation. Remember, tonight is a combination of pre-recorded content followed by an opportunity for live Q&A. We encourage your participation in the chat function. Ask your questions and we will get to as many of them as possible. Remember, please, to be respectful. And now I am pleased to introduce Ray-Jean Murchison, our program coordinator at the WELL.
Hello, friends. Thank you so much for attending our virtual series. This is our second night. As a reminder, this series will go from August 3rd to August 6th, and then next week from August 10th to August 12th. And welcome to everyone who was not able to make it yesterday, but welcome back to our friends who made it yesterday and you found some time to make it again tonight. We are so happy to have you all with us as we dive into habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Now, before I show the presentation, I do want to share 3 things, and I will be sharing these 3 things every night. So sorry if it is repetitive, but the first thing is that this is a live series and we are working with some technology here. We ask that you extend us grace if something's not working or if the sound is off or if things are skipping. Just know that we're working really hard behind the scenes to make it work and get it functioning so that you all can understand what's going on, that you can see the video, okay? The second thing is questions. We want you guys to utilize the chat box. So the chat box is for you to converse with one another. You can talk with the moderators. You can talk with Betsy. You can talk with me. You can also ask questions. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the entirety of this presentation. And then we would like to answer your questions. And some of the questions we may ask the presenters live and get their live responses. And then some of the questions we may answer just in the chat box. We ask that you please be respectful. And in order to kind of maintain order in the chat box, we have 3 moderators on tonight. We have Jacob Bridges, we have Khalid Scott, and we have Kristen Dungy. So if you have any questions and you want to, but you don't want to put it on the big chat, you can private message one of those 3 people that I mentioned. They also have the words moderator next to their names in parentheses. So you'll know who they are, and they will try to get the answers to you as quickly as possible. And the third thing is this: have fun. So you have allotted 30 minutes of your time to hang with us and to listen to these presentations and to dive deeper into what Sean Covey was trying to tell teens about healthy and effective living. We ask that you ask all the questions that you want. There are no dumb questions. We ask that you engage. We ask that you just take these 30 minutes to really take in this content. I have a pen and I have my trusty dusty notebook and I'm writing notes along with you. So we ask that you just take the time, take some notes, and then afterwards, that way we can have an engaging conversation after the pre-recording. And those are the 3 things that I will mention every single night. Sorry, everybody who came yesterday. All right, before we begin, just kind of want to intro. Tonight is habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. And our presenters are Cal Cunningham and Will Cunningham. Now, Cal and Will cannot be here tonight, just like Youssef yesterday, but that's okay because they gave us some really good pre-recorded content. The video is about 13 minutes long, and they're kind of having a discussion with one another about what it means to begin with the end in mind. And we will start that as soon as we can. So in about 30 seconds or so. So please just stick with us as we get it started for you all. Thank you again for coming to the virtual series, and we really hope that you enjoy.
Hey everybody, I'm Cal Cunningham, and this is...
My name's Will, and I go to Research Triangle High School, and we're going to be talking about the second habit of being a healthy teen, which is beginning with the end in mind.
So Will, when you read this chapter, what did begin with the end in mind mean when you read it?
Just like make sure that you have a set goal that you're trying to obtain. So I guess like what's a good example? You could say I want to make lunch and I'm going to make this specific thing.
What about a better example is your Eagle project? How did you make he made benches for his Eagle project. What was the method that you used?
So like at the end, like, so I guess if we're going to stick with the begin and end in mind kind of philosophy, then I was like, I'm going to build these benches and then get my Eagle for scouts and then be done with it. So I knew that like if I was definitely going to be doing the benches, then I had to go through the whole process. But I knew that the end goal was to have the benches done no matter what way that went. And it ended up taking me quite a while to finish, but it finished, and I never stopped believing in the fact that I was going to have the tables done by the time I was done with the whole project and had everything done for the whole Eagle rank.
So let's break it down a little bit. You started with a picture of what benches looked like. You could picture the end from the time that you started. With the pictures of the benches, then if I remember, you found videos on YouTube and plans that showed all of the steps that would have to be taken in order to get from raw materials to an assembled bench. So you had to start with the end in mind, the very concept of this chapter, and then break it down into component parts before you started. It's kind of like here in this chapter, there's a lot of discussion about creating a personal mission statement. Mm-hmm. What did that mean to you?
I guess like you could look at it in a couple different ways. For me, I guess the personal mission statement would have almost been like a goal in and of itself. So I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to not stop until it's finished, even if like there were certain points in time where I definitely didn't want to do it or wanted to do other things, that like I was going to finish it because I kind of had to, because I didn't want to pull it on any longer than it had to be, because it's already a very tedious process. So,
well, extrapolating from the Eagle project and the benches to the reading here in this chapter, why would you want to develop a personal mission statement?
probably to keep yourself on the right path. So maybe it could help you from making the wrong decisions in your life, or it could just help you obtain something. So maybe it could just be like something to remember every time you feel like not wanting to do what you're trying to do, and like you think back to it and you're like, oh yeah, I told myself I'm going to do this. I'm going to stick by it. I'm not going to give up on what I'm trying to do. But that everybody's mission statement could be different. So maybe it's not always about persevering. Maybe it's taking a step back, looking at what needs to change, and then changing that instead. So I think that it's kind of just a good thing to look at whenever you feel like that you're not doing what you're supposed to, or whenever there's a difficult decision that you don't know what to make of.
And it certainly gives you a vision of where you want to be, what the things are that, upon reflection, are important in your life. And if you want to get there, then being reminded or having a constant reminder of what your vision is, what that end goal looks like, can help you decide in any given day, should I do A or should I do B? Well, which one's going to get you towards your goal? Well, in the chapter, it talks about the methods that you can go through to create your own personal mission statement. Do you have those methods? What are the methods that folks who are reading this chapter, what steps can they go through?
So the author, they mention that like collecting quotes or collecting like they don't necessarily have to be like exact quotes. You can paraphrase and you can kind of change them or cut them up in order to get exactly what you want out of a quote.
Quotes from famous authors or thinkers.
Or, people that you look up to, and kind of like that express who you are. And then once you can collect those quotes together, you can look at what all those quotes mean, and you can assess like kind of what you can summarize all those quotes to as pretty much what your feelings are based on those quotes.
What are a couple of the other methods?
And then there's brain dumping is the second method. It's brainstorming, or whatever you want to call it. Just take 10 minutes, pretty much just time yourself and write just whatever you want about how you're feeling, or about like what you think that your mission statement should be about, or what your like goals are, and then just stop writing and then leave it alone for a little bit. That's pretty much what you should do.
Maybe come back to it. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Just get it out of your head and get it onto paper. The other two were retreat. That is kind of go find some solitude, find a quiet place, put your thinking cap on, and just reflect on what you want to accomplish in life. And the final one, which is sort of pejoratively named, but not a bad idea, it's called the Big Lazy. Just swipe somebody else's mission statement, and it sort of jokingly talks about the Army mission statement, Army Strong, an Army slogan. Happen to know that one, having served in Iraq and Afghanistan, having served in the Army. But it's not just like collecting quotes. It's not wrong to go look and see what other people's mission statements are, what other people's slogans are, because you can adopt them as your own. All right, so moving along, what are the three things we should watch out for when begin with the end in mind, when we're beginning with the end in mind? What are some of the obstacles? What are some of the traps we can fall into?
So here it talks about negative labels as one of the first watch outs. And so a negative label could be getting labeled as a nerd or a jock, or like they give a bunch of examples from their own school. So they have airheads, nerds, cowboys, pretty boys, partiers, preppies, it girls, burnouts, jocks, D-wingers, and but apparently D-wingers is just something that they had in their school. So like you get labeled with that, and then you start to believe that, and you start to kind of change how you act, change how your life is, just based on that label alone. And you shouldn't do that. You should pretty much live your life in your own way. Don't let what other people think about you affect how you live. A lot easier said than done for a lot of people, but it's still important to remember that while you're building your mission statement, or while you're beginning with the end in mind, because otherwise you can change how your life is, and you'll end up not enjoying where you go in life because of that.
The other one, the next one, was the concept of it's all over. And I particularly liked the writing about this, because how many times do we make a mistake and go, oh my gosh, I'll never recover. I'll never get back on my path. I'll never get to that mission or that end goal. But part of the lesson here, part of the important lesson to draw from this chapter, is that perseverance is important, that it's never all over, that you can always get back up. And in fact, I've found in life that bouncing back, getting back up, and getting back on your path is an incredibly important quality, because we all suffer setbacks. We all get knocked down. We can't allow ourselves to believe that it's all over. We got to get back up and keep moving. And then what's the last of the three?
So the last of the three is called the wrong wall. And so kind of the idea here is that you might have an end goal in mind, but the issue is that end goal can be wrong, because if you're climbing, how they use the analogy, climbing the ladder of success, if you're climbing the ladder of success towards the wrong goal, then is it really success? So in that sense, if you're doing the wrong things and you're thinking it's right and you're continuing to build, so maybe that would be like building yourself up in a friend group, but that friend group is all making the wrong decisions, becoming more like important, becoming better friends with people. But the problem would be like you might be changing yourself, where that negative labels idea comes in, where you're letting what other people think of you affect how you're living your life. You could be doing that, but that's moving in the wrong direction, and you want to be building yourself up and not forgetting some of your key ideals like self-respect and other ideals like that.
Well, so here we are at the end of our time. Let us just give you a couple of concluding thoughts. Look, this chapter, beginning with the end in mind, is about goal setting. It's about making sure that you think about and reflect on and create a vision for what you want to accomplish in life. And it's okay for that to change over time, but if you have an end goal, if you have a set of thoughts about where you want to end up, then it can be fun to pursue that mission through any number of different paths that you may choose to go down. Any concluding thoughts that you want to share as well?
So the beginning with the end in mind doesn't necessarily always mean that you have like the definitive end in mind. So one of the things that like I vividly remember is while I'm hiking this past summer at Philmont, which is a very, very hot area in New Mexico. We're just constantly going uphill, constantly. It was horrible. But the end goal, I knew that like I wanted to get to the top of the mountain, but that's not necessarily the end in mind that I had. I would see a tree at like about 100 yards up the hill, and I was like, I'm gonna get to that tree. I'm not gonna stop till I get to that tree, and then maybe when I get to that tree, we can take a little break, and then we'll keep going. So I knew that like I wanted to get to the top of the mountain, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the goal I had was to get always to the top of the mountain all the time. So you can set small goals for yourself and constantly be building, and that can be your end. So your goal is always able to change. Maybe your end goal changes because of those small goals, but that's pretty much just the idea, is that you always want to be living your life in your own way, and being able to set those goals for yourself is so important to moving forward.
Well, thank you all so much for listening here when we were talking about this chapter 2. Thanks for joining us. Please come back tomorrow to watch the next speaker talk about habit number 3. Thank you so much, and take care.
So that was a really good presentation. Thank you so much, Cal and Will, for taking the time out of your busy schedules and presenting habit number 2 for us. We really appreciate it. So, of course, as I said in the beginning, our presenters could not be here with us today, but that's okay because we can still have a discussion. We started a really good conversation yesterday about being proactive. But when we talk about habit number 2, one of the things that Will was actually saying is about like his personal statement, his personal mission statement, a favorite quote. Even some people in the chat was talking about their favorite quotes. And I wanted to know, do you have a personal statement or a personal quote that you would love to share with us tonight that kind of keeps you moving forward? And if you do, you can unmute yourself and you can tell us. We would love to hear your voices tonight. I can definitely start us off here. So my favorite quote, or something that I tell myself every day to kind of get the day started, I just say, today is the day. That's it. Very simple. It doesn't imply anything bad. It doesn't imply anything good, great riches or anything like that. It just implies that today I'm going to go about this day and I'm going to conquer every single thing that happens to me today. And whether it's good or whether it's bad, I'm going to take it. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to create a better tomorrow with it. And then the next day I'll say the same thing. Today is the day. So we have someone sharing in the chat. Ruth says, life is a daring adventure or nothing. Yes, Helen Keller. Love that quote. Anyone else want to share one?
But our moderators have good ones.
And you guys can also feel free to utilize the chat, just like Ruth, I think. Okay, I thought I saw another one. And if you don't have a personal mission statement or a personal quote that you love, you can start by, I love what they said. So goal setting is like creating a vision for what you want in life and getting it down on paper. So something that Cal said, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. It's okay if when you start writing your personal statement or your personal goal or your personal quote that it just sounds all jumbled out. You just got to get it down on paper and it will all align in its timing. So if you don't have any quote or anything today, I would like to address this next. Oh, we do have a quote. Okay. I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. Abraham Lincoln. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. So to close out tonight, my very last question, this is for kind of the adults, some wisdom in the room. Can you give our teens any advice on beginning with the end in mind and goal setting and having a vision? Do you guys have any advice for us today? Wesley McDowell says, my mother always reminds me to never risk accuracy for speed. Love it. Any advice for our teens tonight?
go ahead and jump in since I'm probably the senior person in this whole group. I have 6 children. 3 of them are still at home, and I think, thanks, Rachel. That is good. Do your best and let go of the results. So something that's related to this that I often try to remember myself, but have shared as well, is plan, but don't plan the results. Right? You're not necessarily always in control of the results, but you can do the planning. You can create a path. You just might not always be in control of the final result. And so always plan, but always also be flexible.
That's great. Thank you so much, Betsy. And to end it off, I'll read these last 2. One, so I definitely don't want to miss what Rachel said. Just do your best and let go of the results. Pamela says, be a great teammate. And Victoria says, if you don't know what good or finished looks like, how will you know when you get there? Is that a question for Betsy?
For anybody.
Or for anybody? Oh, thanks, Victoria. Okay, thank you guys all for joining us on tonight. It has been a pleasure. Thank you again to Cal and Will Cunningham for helping us to better understand habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Please make sure that you join us tomorrow. Tomorrow will look a little different. So tomorrow we will have a live panel with our moderators that also double as Public Ally AmeriCorps members, which is, whoa, yeah, I guess you guys didn't know that. So they're going to be sharing their experiences with putting first things first, and you do not want to miss it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, everyone.